All right, so shall we start the class today? We
Yeah.
it's the first day of the week, so it's a section A class. Now I have received the mails that you have sent me, and I'm going to give you my feedback by the end of this week on them. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share a presentation with you. Now, today's topic is, you remember the last time we did voice, and it was a very grammar-based lesson that we had where we talked about what an active voice is and what a passive voice is. So, Judy, whatever we are doing in section A, we still need to practice it a lot so that we are more comfortable with what we are learning. But I'm just waiting to finish the 10 lessons, the first 10 lessons that we have. Um, as soon as we finish the first 10 lessons, we are going to revise all of this again, and then I'm going to give you a lot of work and a lot of worksheets to do on all of this. This will keep you in good practice, okay? I'm not giving you work to do after every lesson, because all of these lessons are connected to one another. So once we finish the first 10 lessons, then we can actually have a review class on these, and then I'll give you worksheets where you'll be able to read texts, and then you'll be asked to say, identify the purpose, the audience. Now, when you know what the purpose is, what the audience is, you'll be asked to connect the language and to find relevant words. If I tell you this, you will have to know what active voice is, what passive voice is. You will have to know what the narrative point of view is. And these are the things that we need to finish together in the first 10 lessons. And then again, we'll have a review class on all of these, a very quick recap. We'll have one class on that. And then I'll give you worksheets based on all of these lessons so that we can practice whatever we have learned. Okay, are we clear?
Okay.
All right, so today is
Yeah.
going to be
Then after this summer holiday, could we have lessons as normal, or maybe we have to change the time schedules?
you can change the time schedule. I'm all right with that. If you want to change the schedule, you can ask Adi if you can give him your preferred time, and I'll see how I can fit you in my schedule. Okay.
Okay.
All
Thank you.
right. So now we want to start with the presentation. I'll just share it with you, and this one's called again. This is voice part B. Uh, Part A was where we did very grammar-based lesson on active voice and passive voice. This is also voice, where we talk about narrative voice. So give me a moment. Let me just share the presentation with you first. Okay, can you see this, my dear?
I can see it.
Okay, so this is our topic today, and this is called narrative voice. It's a little bit different from what we did in active and passive voice. Active voice and passive voices are different ways of writing a sentence. For example, if I say, she bought a flower, this is an active voice, and I want to change it into passive voice, it will be a flower was bought by her. So these are the two ways we can write sentences. Just a little bit of a variation in our writing. If we can understand this, then we can just bring in a little bit of variation in our writing and write. If we are reading a text, if we can identify these variations, it's good because we will be able to display our knowledge of English. Okay. Here, grammar is important, and to be able to analyze the text based on different aspects is also very important. So, voice, one part we did based on very basic grammar, and now this is another part which is going to help us analyze the text. So when you are reading or writing, as an author, when you are writing, or as a reader, when you're reading, you need to know what a narrative voice is. Okay? So starting
Mm-hmm.
from here, so what is a narrative voice? It is the perspective from which a story is told. So what the writer's perspective is actually the narrative voice. I'll give you an example as we go so that it'll become easy for you to understand. So say, before I move on to the next slide, I tell you that, and I think we've done this before as well. So if I say something like, I sat by the window and looked outside, it was beautiful, and the sky was sunny, the trees were lush green, the birds were singing. So this is my perspective, my point of view that I'm talking about. That is why I have said I am sitting here and looking at things. I can also write it in a different way. The same thing, I can write it in a different way. If I say, she sat by the windowsill and looked outside. The sky was blue, the birds were singing, and the trees were a lush green. She looked outside and she felt peace. It was a beautiful day, wasn't it? So, say again, the same thing. I am telling the same story, but I'm telling this from some other person's perspective, right? So, this is what narrative voice is. We'll try to understand this a little bit better when we talk about, again, coming to grammar now. So the narrative voice is dictated by a set of pronouns, and these pronouns are divided in these three kinds: first person, second person, and third person. When you are talking about a person, this is where your narrative voice, where this is how you can understand what narrative voice is being used. Okay. So we do know what first person, second person, and third person is. We just want to go through it very quickly. The singular first person are I, me, my, mine. The plural first person are we, us, our, ours. Right? And I think we've done this in our previous classes as well. Second person is the singular you, your, and yours. Plural you, your, and yours. Best part about second person is it's all the same. You don't have to think too much. You don't have to remember too much. Third person singular would be he, she, it, his, her, its, and plural would be they, them, their, theirs. Now, all of these are pronouns, and all of these pronouns are being used in different ways to show different things. So, when I'm using pronouns in so many different ways, it becomes easier if we can understand one more thing about pronoun, and that is case. If we can understand what case is, finding out the point of views also becomes a little bit easy for us. So let's just move on a little bit and see what case is all about. Okay, so the case means when you write use the person, that means you use the pronouns that we know, as in first person, second person, and third person, when you are using it in these three forms. So a person, or the pronouns that we know, can be used in three different forms, and these forms are called case. So there's subjective, objective, and possessive. And each kind of person or pronoun can be used in a different manner when we are using it as subjective, objective, or possessive. So let's look at this a little bit more. So when I'm talking about the first person, the case of first person is in three forms: subjective, objective, possessive. How is it used? This is what we want to just know. So when I'm talking about a first person in the singular form and I say I, this is being used in the subjective form. How? I have done it. Over here, the pronoun I is being used as the subject of the sentence. Similarly, the pronoun we, which is plural in the first person, this is also used as a subject over here. We cooked dinner. So if we are using the pronouns as a subject of a sentence, we will say that the case is subjective. That means the pronoun is being used in the subjective form. Are you with me so far, my dear? Do you understand so far, darling?
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. So let's look at this. When I want to use the first person in an objective form. How do I do that? So singular pronoun me is being used in an objective form when I say he gave the book to me. So what is the difference between subjective and objective pronoun? The basic difference is that the subjective pronoun over here does the verb. What is the verb over here? Have done. So I, this pronoun is doing this verb have done. However, when you're looking at a pronoun in the objective form, it does not do the verb, it receives the verb. So if I say he gave the book to me, over here the subject is he, this pronoun is doing the verb. What is the verb? Giving, gave, right? But who takes this verb? Me, this pronoun. So this is the basic difference between subjective and objective. A subject does the work and an object receives the work. Got it? So over here, when we want to use first person in objective form, we have to use it at the end of the sentence like this. He gave the book to me. Over here, me is in first person and it is being used in an objective form. If I want to use me in the subjective form, I will have to use I. I have done it like this. Okay? So take a look at this in plural form. They bought cakes for us. Again, us is the pronoun which is receiving the cakes. What is bought is being received by us. That is why us over here is being used in an objective form. Now we want to talk about the possessive form. And possessive form is something which shows possession. So in first person, if I want to show possession of something, I will use, if I'm using singular, I'll use mine. If I'm using plural, I'll use ours. This pen is mine. In this case, the pen belongs to me. So when I say that the pen belongs to me, that it is mine, I'm using a pronoun over here to show possession of this pen. And this is this pronoun, mine over here, shows that it belongs to me. Again, that house is ours. Over here, ours is in plural form, and this plural form is of the first person. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so similarly, now we want to move on to the same thing. We just want to revise. I'm sure we've done all of this, and I'm sure you know all of this. It's just a quick revision before we move on to how the writer uses all of this in order to show their point of view. Okay, so moving on.
Okay.
Whoops, sorry, come to third person already. There. So case of second person, again in three forms: subjective, objective, and possessive. When I want to use you, which is the second person, in singular form, and I want to use it as a subject of a sentence, I will say you called him. I'm going to put you in the beginning and I'll tell what you did. Again, if I want to use it as plural, best part about second person, there is no S or anything over here. Both of them are the same. You have to understand from the context of what the sentence is saying, whether this has to be singular or plural. So you won the game. Over here, if I'm describing a football match and talking to football team, then of course you will be used in plural. But if I'm talking about table tennis singles match and I'm talking to one person who won, and if I say you won the game, then this will be used as a singular. So you see, it's important to understand the context of what is being said. Okay, so in this case, I'm pretending that I am talking to a football team. That is why I'm using you here in order to help you understand the use of you as a plural in the subjective form. Got it? Moving on, objective. Again, what the subject does is received by the object. So if I say, I gave the book to you, over here the second person is you. It is being used at the end of the sentence because it is receiving from the subject. The subject says that I gave the book. Who got the book? You got the book. So over here, you is being used in the objective form. Again, when I want to use it as plural, he bought these for you. Say you and your friends are there and he brings these for you, then it's all of you together that we are saying. That is why he bought these for you. Over here, you, we'll pretend that we are talking about more than one person and understand the context of this sentence, which is why you is being used in the plural over here. Possessive.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
So the case of the first person and the second person for subjective, so like you or we must be used at the end of the sentences or maybe start of the sentences, right?
Okay, so if you're talking about it in the subjective form, then we has to be used in the beginning. So I'll take you back to the first person and take a look at this. If I'm saying we, I will have to use it at the beginning of the sentence over here. When I use it in the beginning of the sentence, it becomes in subjective form. But when I want to use it in the end of the sentence, like here, this is being used in the objective form. We is going to be used as we when we use it as a subject. This will turn into us if I want to use it in the objective form. Same, the meaning is the same. We means us. I'm meaning, say, myself over here and my children beside me. So that's us if I am getting something from you. So Judy gave the book to us. Over here, you are giving something to me, but I'm not alone here. I'm here with my kids, so it becomes us. But if I say that I am giving you a book to you, here you are receiving from me, so I become the subject. Now, if I am giving it to you, and if I have three people with me, then I cannot say I gave it to you. I'm going to say we gave it to you. So here, we is being used in the beginning of the sentence because I am the one who's giving, I'm the one who's doing the work, right? In this case, we, since we are more than one, that is why we are using the pronoun we here. And since we are doing the work, it becomes subjective. But when we receive the work, we cannot use we over here. We will have to use us. And this works as the object of the sentence. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Similarly, for second person, it's still the same. When you are using it as a subject who's doing the work, you will use you. Best part about second person is that there's no difference between singular and plural. So you can still use you in the subjective form. When you want to use it in the objective form, you will still have to use you in the objective form. But when you are talking about something in the possessive form, here you cannot use you have to use yours, irrelevant of the fact whether we are talking about singular or plural, because singular and plural both still are the same when we are using a second person. So when I say this book is yours, it's you, Judy, one person, so I'm using this book is yours. When I'm saying these uniforms are yours, then I'm probably talking to more than one person because there are many uniforms that I'm talking about, and there are many other people sitting there, or many people in front of me. So in this case, yours is being used as plural, and in this case, yours is being used as singular. Clear so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to third person now. Same thing. We want to talk about the case of third person. And again, we are using it in these three different forms, which is subjective, objective, and possessive. So when I'm saying he, this is a third person. When I want to use he as plural, I will have to say they. When I want to use he and they in the subjective form, I have to use it in the beginning of the sentence, like this: he kicked the ball. Then like this: they won the game. So I'm using it at the start of the sentence. And this is being used as the subject. But when I want to use it as an object, then he will have to become him. They will have to become them. And this is how we're going to use it. I gave the book to him. Over here, I cannot say I gave the book to he because I am using it in the objective form. So same pronoun he, same meaning, but the pronoun will be used in a different form, and this different form is him because I'm using it in the objective form. Got it? Similarly, when I'm using plural they as a subject and I want to use it as an object, then it becomes them. So I'm going to use it at the end of the sentence. She passed the papers to them. I cannot say she passed the papers to they. Okay? All right, so now we will move on to possessive. And again, possessive is the easiest of the pronouns because it shows possession. That means anything that belongs to you. A noun, if it belongs to you, and then I can use these kinds of pronouns to show that they are yours. Now, in this case, I'll just explain one very, very small thing to you. I don't have it written here, but I think that you just need to keep it in your mind. When we are saying that this pen is his, over here, I'm using this pronoun in the possessive form, right?
Mm-hmm.
So over here, the noun is here, pen. This is a noun. Now, the moment I change my sentence a little bit and I say, this is his pen, in this case, even though his, we know, is a pronoun, if I say this is his pen, his in this sentence will not be used as a pronoun. It will be used as a possessive adjective. So let me just write this down and show it to you. It's just a little bit something that you need to know. Two sentences. This pen is his. Another one. This is his pen. Now both of these show me that the pen belongs to this person, right? His, him, the pen belongs
Mm-hmm.
to this person. But when I am talking about grammar, then the moment I use noun here and this pronoun after the noun, then this is okay, then it's a pronoun. It's a possessive pronoun. But when I'm using this noun here and I place the pronoun before the noun, then this one over here will not be a pronoun. We will say that this is a possessive adjective. Why? Because an adjective is a part of speech which describes a noun. So over here, the noun is a pen. When I use his pen, then I am showing possession of the pen, but I'm also describing something about the pen. I'm giving you some more information about the pen. So the moment I use this pronoun his in front of the noun to show possession, it becomes a possessive adjective. And if I use this pronoun his over here after the noun, then it becomes a possessive pronoun. Got it? Or is it confusing? Got it?
I could remember it when I was studying primary school. I learned this before, and our teachers use a diagrams which collected in this first, second, and third person. Then the volume is right. The objective, the subjective, and the obsessive, and then let us to remember that. Yeah, I still could remember that
Good.
part.
That's great. So now this is understood. So we'll move on. So there we go. Now we know what the case is like. We understand pronouns as how we use them as different persons. And now we come to the point what a narrative voice is. So a narrative voice, you will be able to understand it best when you understand what a person is, how is the pronoun being used as different kinds of persons, and how you are using different kinds of point of views. This is going to dictate your narrative voice. So we'll move on from here because now we've understood what person is. We want to see what point of view is so that we can understand what narrative voice can be. Okay. So again, point of view, we have to know use the knowledge of person. It will be in three kinds that we will learn now. First person, second person, and third person. I think we know that already, just a quick revision. So first person point of view is written something like this. Now, before we even read this, uh, what is it about the first person point of view which makes your writing different? So when the writer is writing, they are writing using the pronoun I all the time. Now, when I am writing using the pronoun I, it's easy for me to write because I'm thinking what's happening to me and I'm describing those, right? When you are, as a reader, reading my writing, then what are you reading as? You are still using that I and you are reading it as if all of this was happening to you. So whatever was happening to me, I say I was sad, I was unhappy, I couldn't hold back my tears, my heart broke. I'm saying that. When you read the same thing, you also read using the pronoun I. So what happens? Now you are reading, I was sad, I could not stop my tears. So when you are reading this, that means you are feeling the same things that I am feeling. Because over here, you're not reading as she felt sad, she could not stop her tears. Had it been like that, then it would have been easy for you, because then you would have understood that, all right, this writer, whoever is writing this, is feeling sad. But the moment you read it in the first person perspective, when you read it saying I, it's not only my pain that I shared with you, now it becomes your pain, your happiness, or your feelings. So first person point of view is very powerful writing. If you can actually bring it in that way, where you can describe your feelings beautifully, when a reader reads that, they will actually feel it themselves, you know. So let's read this example first, then we'll talk about this a little bit more. Would you like to read this, please?
Yeah. Where you works this way, said the girl, and I followed her across a square hall with high doors all around. She
Ushered me.
ushered me into a room whose double illumination of fire and candle at first dazzled me, contrasting as it did with the darkness to which my eyes had been for 2 hours inured. When I could see, however, a cozy and agreeable picture presented itself to my view.
Okay, so now what happens? You are, when you read this, will you walk this way, ma'am? Said the girl. And I followed her across a square hall with high doors all round. So when the moment I read it as I, now I am going to picture myself doing the same. So if I'm reading it as I followed her across a square hall with high doors all round, I'm going to see myself following this person. I'm going to see what this person sees. I'm going to see what this person feels. So she ushered me into a room whose double illumination of fire and candle at first dazzled me. The moment I say at first dazzled me, I can feel that my eyes were not used to this kind of brightness, because I had been sitting in the dark for the past 2 hours, and now suddenly uh, I've walked into this bright room where I'm going to squint my eyes, because I can feel the slight pain, the quick pain that I would after sitting in the dark for so long, right? So over here, first person point of view becomes very powerful reading, powerful writing, because the writer says what's happening to them. I will read it as if it's happening to me. Got it?
Yeah.
So this kind of writing brings the reader and the narrator very close to one another, because once the narrator is saying all this in first person point of view, the reader begins to feel it as if it's happening to them. Okay, moving on. Second person. Okay, now second person point of view is where the writer writes using you. So if I say that you stood on the computer and looked at the screen, you felt surprised at what you read. Now, in this case, you are still reading it with this. You are also reading with the second person. So you are reading, you stood in front of the computer. So this is not happening to you individually as a person. This is happening to somebody else, right? So second person point of views are very are quite rare to come by. Now, I found this interesting piece on the internet. Um, I think it's a good idea if we can just very quickly listen to what they have to say. This is a book read out in second person point of view. Take a look at this. Can you see this, my dear?
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. I have to share my computer sound with you. Okay, should be able to hear now.
Let's read How to Babysit a Grandpa. How to Babysit a Grandpa by Jean Regan. Illustrated by Lee Wildish.
So this is in the second person point of view, okay?
Babysitting a grandpa is fun. if you know how. When your grandpa rings the doorbell, what should he do? Hide! You might wiggle and want to giggle, but don't yell, Grandpa! Not yet. Shh! How to stay quiet. Pretend you're a shark waiting for lunch. Act like a pirate spy. Be as still as a lion statue. As soon as your grandpa says, I give up, pop out and shout, Here I am!
So you see how this book, the whole of it is written in the second person perspective. Okay, so I'll take you back to the presentation. Uh-oh, sorry. All right, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so second, I couldn't come across a book where I could share a little bit with you for the second person perspective. This one I found. And there's another thing that I think we realize when we think about second person point of views is mostly second person point of view is used when you are giving instructions, when you are, so think of recipes. When you look at a recipe, it tells you what to do. So say take 4 eggs and mix it with 1 cup of flour. So over here you are being asked what to do, correct? So you can see that instructions, when the instructions are given, it's mostly done in the second person perspective. I cannot say I will take a bowl and put in 200 grams of flour and mix it with 4 eggs. If I'm writing a recipe, I'll tell you what to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's how first person perspective and second person point of view, this is how they are written differently. Moving on to third person point of view are written in 3 ways. One is objective, the other is limited, and the last one is omniscient. So let's look at them one by one. Objective. The writer employs a character to narrate the story without providing insight into the character's own thoughts and feelings. So when a narrator says that she walked up the stairs, she picked up the note and she read it, it does not tell you that she was sad as she picked up the note, that her heart was beating when she went up the stairs, that tears fell down her cheek when she was reading the note. See, none of the emotions, none of the feelings are being described here. When the writer says that that she walked up the stairs, picked up the note and read it, it's just telling you what she did, right? So this is an objective way of writing. Let's talk about limited. The story told from the point of view of a single character. So when you are reading a book, you'll probably come across different kinds of characters. Sometimes you'll see that all the characters are there, but the story is being told from one character's point of feelings and thoughts only. So if I say she walked up the stairs, she opened the door, she picked up the note, and then if I say that she was sad as she picked up the note, she knew what was written in the note and her heart beat faster as she opened it. Tears fell down her cheek as she read the note. He had left her. He just picked up and went. It was so easy for him. Now, all of these that I'm saying, it is written in the third perspective. I'm talking about how this person is feeling, who's a female, and I'm telling you that she walked up the stairs, she went to the room, she opened the door, she picked up a note and she read it and she was sad. She was sad, why? Because there was someone that she loved who had left her. So over here, we are talking about her feelings only, and we are showing up from the perspective of this person. So this is limited way of writing. Now, when I'm still using the third person, I'm describing everybody's feelings, then it becomes omniscient. This point of view offers the reader the point of view of a god. So that means that all the characters, where they are, what are they feeling, what are they doing, everything is described in this kind of narration. It can be differentiated easily from the third person limited point of view, because when you are reading the limited point of view, you will see that all the feelings of one character is there only. But when you are reading the omniscient point of view, you'll see everyone's feelings are described. So let's see, when I say She walked up the stairs, she opened the door, she read the note. She was sad as she unfolded the paper because she knew what was written there. Tears ran down her cheek as she read the note. She had left him. It was so easy for him to go. It left her heart broken. She felt that she could not breathe. So I'm talking about this person in a limited point of view. Now, when I add this, a few more lines over here, using the male's perspective, he was, little did she know how sad he was when he wrote the note to her. There, now I'm talking about the other person's feelings as well. As he wrote the new note, his hand shook. He could not bring himself to write all of this down because he knew that it will break her heart. It broke his heart too. He did not want to leave her and go, but he could not do anything in this case. So you see, over here, I'm not only talking about the girl's point of view and the pain that she feels, I'm also talking about the boy's point of view. So if you put this in three different perspectives and read, you will be able to understand what's happening. When I put it as, and when I use an objective third person point of view, then what am I doing? I'm just telling you that she walked up the stairs, she opened the door, she read the note. In this case, I'm not telling you what she was feeling or how she felt or who the note was from, what was the person who wrote this note feeling. But when I move on to the limited point of view, I'll say that she went up the stairs, her heart was beating fast as she opened the door, she saw the note there, she felt, she knew what was in there. She was sad as she unfolded the paper and tears ran down her cheek as she read. It was so easy for him to go. Little did he realize how much it hurt her. Her heart was broken and she could not bear the pain. So now I'm talking about what she is feeling. So I've put in a limited point of view because it's only one character's feelings that I've put in there. So when I say that it was so easy for him, and over here, if I add on how he was feeling too, immediately I can transform my limited point of view to an omniscient point of view. Got it? Okay. Did you understand? I'm sorry, darling. Your voice keeps on breaking up. Do you understand this?
The this one I cannot understand. The last one in
Omniscient?
purple section.
In purple? Okay. So let me just write this down for you. It's easy for us to understand if we keep this in writing and see. So if I say, she walked up the stairs, opened the door, and saw the note on the table. She picked it up and read it. So what happens? This is in the objective form. Why? Because I'm just telling you what she did. I'm not telling you what she was feeling, right? Now, if the same thing, I tell you something like this, she walked up the stairs, opened the door, and saw the note on the table. Her heart was beating fast. So now I'm telling you how she was feeling. She knew what was in the note. So I'm also telling you a little bit more about what she knew. She picked it up and read it. So now I'm adding her feelings, okay? Tears rolled down her cheek as she read the note. So I'm telling you how she was feeling now, okay? She felt her heart break. It was getting difficult to breathe. He had left her. it was so easy for him to do this. Okay, so all of this over here I have written in from this girl's perspective. So I have not only told you what she did as I did in the objective form, in the limited form I'm telling you what she did, how she felt, what she was thinking. Okay, now let's take it a little bit further, and if we write it in the omniscient form, then the writing would be, she walked up the stairs, opened the door, and saw the note on the table. Her heart was beating fast. She knew what was in the note. She picked it up and read it. Tears rolled down her cheek. Oh. Darling, can you hold on for a minute? My laptop is running out of charge.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Sama, can you switch that on for me, please? Yes. Okay, I'm back. All right, so now tears rolled down her cheek as she read the note. She felt her heart break. I'm still talking about what she was feeling. It was getting difficult to breathe. Still talking about what she's feeling, still in the limited format. Okay, he had left her. It was so easy for him to do this. Again, it's still her thoughts. I'm still writing in the limited form. But now I'm going to change this into omniscient. And how? So I say it was so easy for him to do this. Was it? It was. So I'm going to put it up here. Little did she know how painful it was for him to write this note. What have I done? I have switched from her feelings and her thoughts to what he felt. So little did she know how painful it was for him to write this note. He couldn't bring himself to write this initially. Again, his feelings, but he had to do it. Okay, so now I'm talking about his thoughts. I don't think I can live without her, he thought as he picked up the pen. So you see, now what have I done? Initially, when I described her actions only, that was in the objective form. Later on, I described her actions, her feelings, and her thoughts, that's the limited form. And finally, I have described her feelings, her thoughts, but it's not only limited to her feelings and her thoughts. I've also brought in what the boy felt when he was writing the note to her. I've brought in his feelings, I've brought in his thoughts, which are, it was getting difficult to breathe is what the girl is feeling. He had left her is what she was thinking. It was so easy for him to do this. This is also what she was thinking. Was it? Now I bring someone else's perspective over here. Little did she know how painful it was for him to write this note. Now we come to the boy's perspective and how painful it is for him. He couldn't bring himself to write this initially, but he had to do it. I don't think I can live without her, he thought, as he picked up the pen. So now what's happening? I'm putting up his feelings and his thoughts and his actions as well. So do you see the difference in the different kind of writing?
In the first part of the only like using the simple sentences to describe what she is doing or
Yeah.
what was she doing.
Yes, but
And
I'm not
then
going to talk
in the
about
second
what she's
part,
feeling.
It's and more details.
When-
Yeah,
when
just her action, right?
Right,
In
just the
objective.
actions. Right. Limited?
Then in the limited sector, in more detailed action, like she felt her heart break, and also and some describe it was getting difficult to breathe, and then using another people he had let her and then it was so and then explain it was so easy for him to do this. So in this paragraph, there are two peoples which we describe, and the main person is she, and then try to describe how hard the symptom she was facing at that time. She couldn't breathe, and maybe she has the heart disease.
Right. So the basic difference between objective and limited over here is that in objective you are showing the actions, but you're not saying how the character feels. In limited, you are showing their actions and you are describing what they are feeling, what they are thinking. So if I say that he went up the stairs and slammed the door shut, in this case, I'm not saying that, I'm just telling you what he did. I'm not telling you why he slammed the door shut. So when I say that he went up the stairs and slammed the door shut, it becomes an objective form of writing. But when I say he went up the stairs and slammed the door shut in anger, over here I am moving to a limited way of writing, because now I'm going to tell you about this person's feelings. I'm going to tell you about what he's thinking. Got it? Okay, and
So
omniscient?
this is like a process from very normal to describe only in action to the most detailed describe in both body language and feeling.
Absolutely right. Body language, feeling, what they're thinking, what they're doing, all of it put together becomes limited. It remains as limited when you are talking about one character's feelings only. You will not describe other people's feelings. So even though in limited over here, we are saying that she read the note, she was sad. We are talking about one person's feelings. We are also saying that this other person is there in her life who has written the note and he has left. We are not talking about how he felt as he left. We're just describing this one person's feelings. In this case, because we are sticking to one person, how she felt, the whole of the novel can be written about how, what she did, what her life was like, what happened to her. And every time in the whole of the story, if I say what she felt, what she was thinking, I'm sticking to limited perspective. I'm not talking about what the other person felt or said, or what that person was thinking. Okay, so it limits my character description over here. That is why we call it the limited form of point of view. Okay, what about omniscient?
Okay. The omniscient which and lot of the characters' thoughts, feelings, and her actions. It is the most how do you say, informed informed part.
So for omniscient, you're right. There are multiple characters in a story, and if you can describe all of their feelings and thoughts separately, then it becomes the omniscient form of writing. So if I say that one character was sad and they were feeling bad about something that happened to them, and I bring in another character who walks into that person's, say, for example, if I say that Judy was sad, and as she sat in her room wondering what is going to happen, she has been living locked inside the house for the past months because the pandemic was really bad. So I'm describing what you're feeling. She felt frustrated. She wanted to go out and meet friends. She wanted to talk to people, but she couldn't. So she sat on her bed and she cried because she was frustrated. So when I'm describing all of this, I'm just talking about Judy, one person, and how this one person feels. Now, if I say that Judy's friend walks into her room and she sees that Judy was sad, she sat down beside Judy and Judy told her how she felt. Say Judy's friend's name was, name a friend, Judy. Give me a name for your friend.
Susie.
Susie. Susie?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Susie sat beside Judy while Judy poured her heart out to her. Susie, so now I'm not saying what Susie is feeling, I'm just saying that Susie sat beside you while you talked to her, while you were telling her why you were sad and how painful it was for you to just sit at home. So this is limited writing where I'm just talking about you. But the moment I say that Susie sat down beside Judy, she was sad to see her friend crying. She put her arms around Judy and told her, Judy, don't cry, it's going to be okay. We understand it's just a bad phase of time. Keep your patience. So while Judy sat beside Susie, Susie thought it's painful for everybody, and I hope and pray that everything works out well for all. So now you see what happened when I said that Judy is crying and feeling sad, and Susie walked in and sat beside her. It's limited way of writing because I'm just describing your feelings. But if I say that Susie walked into your room and you were crying and sad, and what Susie thought as well, it becomes omniscient writing. Got it? Okay, so moving on. No confusions, I hope, my dear.
Yeah. I
Okay,
can
good.
understand it.
You want me to go tell you one more time how these are different?
Actually, you have already given me the examples, and then I could compare what's the difference between them.
Okay, good. So if you understand, that's wonderful. Now moving on to, let's practice a little bit and see what we can, now this is a little bit of practice. We want to do a lot more. So we'll do this today. And like I said, as soon as we are done with the first 10 lessons, we want to practice a lot more, all right? So
Okay.
what point of view is represented in this sentence? Add a hat, a hood, goggles, and boots, and you're ready.
Point of view difference.
Number one, Judy.
Point of view. And the point of view is it includes objective, limited, and omniscient. Then I choose one.
Okay, so point of views, first and
To
foremost. Hang on. Point of views,
comparison.
Judy, point of views are of three kinds. Okay, uh, first person point of view, second person.
And second person, and the third person.
That's right.
First person is I, then the second person is you, and the third person is he or she or it.
Third person is of three
Then
kinds.
this. Oh,
Now take a look
becomes
at number one.
objective.
Add a hat, a
And the
hood.
hat, goggles, and the boots, and you are ready. So it's described in second person.
Absolutely right. Now you tell me, why do you say that it is second person point of view?
Because I see the keywords you. You is includes in the second person.
Absolutely right. You see the keyword you, and you is second person, right? Perfect. Very
Yeah.
good. Let's move on to number two. Change the passage to first person point of view. So this is the passage, Anthony's pet. You want to read this for me, darling?
Yeah. Anthony Pat's rabbit had 10 babies. He had already sold 7 of them to kids in his neighborhood. He was charging $2 for each rabbit. Anthony has 3 left to sell.
Okay. First, you tell me,
Then
what's the
change
point
the
of view?
first person. This one is like he so is a second person, and then a
No, hang on. This passage is in second person. Is that what you're saying?
second person. Is it in third person?
Yes, it is in the third person. First, you tell me why this is in the third person.
Because Anthony, this person's names, it can be changed to he. So I think this should be included in the third person.
Absolutely right. So whenever you are asked to look for a point of view, you look for pronouns first. Find out what pronoun is being used. Over here, the pronoun is he, his, and all of these are used in the third person. Got it?
Yeah. Then should I also choose the limited or objective or omniscient of this sentence?
No, no need. Now, what are you asked to do? You've been told to change this passage to first person point of view. So now you write it in the first person.
So if I want to identify this third person's sentence, maybe I should collect this in the objective one, right? Because this is not include any own thoughts or only have actions,
Absolutely
no
right.
thoughts and feelings.
Yes, absolutely right. Perfect. Now you have to change it into the first person.
The first person, I had 10 pent rabbit babies,
Okay.
babies,
Hang on,
and
darling. Can you repeat
I
that?
had oh sorry, my pet rabbit had 10 babies.
Good.
Then he had no sorry, I had already sold 7 of them to kids in my neighborhood. I
Very
was
good.
charging $2 for each rabbit, and I had 3 left to sell.
Okay, one more time the last sentence.
I'm sorry, I
That's
have 3 left to sell.
Perfect. See, you got this one right. Excellent. Let's move on to number 3. The narrator zooms in on the thoughts and feelings of just one character. When the narrator does that, what kind of narration is it? Second person, first person, third person omniscient or third person limited?
Is this like give them an example or
It's actually asking you, it's giving you the definition and it's telling you to, choose any one of these four. So if a narrator zooms in on the thoughts and feelings of just one character, what kind of point of view is it? Is it second person point of view, first person, third person omniscient, or third person limited? What would you say when you read something where only one person's thoughts and feelings, only one character's thoughts and feelings are described?
okay? Actually, when I mentioned the thoughts and the feelings, I identify this is um, there must be the third person, and then thoughts and feelings. I think it should be the omniscient.
Omniscient,
Omniscient.
zooming on only one character.
Only one character. One character. The limited.
Limited. Okay, so again,
Okay, so actually I have wrong knowledge which I remembered before. I just think one characters is related to all of these three parts. Actually, it's only related to the limited one and the objective one, right? Then the omniscient, actually maybe they have included one or more characters. Then they also include, they also use of the third person pronouns and the insights into the thoughts, feelings, and characters, right?
absolutely right. Third person omniscient talks about all the characters, their feelings, and their thoughts separately. It talks about everybody. So think of it as a God telling you a story. What happens? God can understand everyone's feelings and everyone's thoughts. So that's actually a kind of third person omniscient narration. When you are talking about, when you limit your narration to only one person's thoughts and feelings, you can write the story having many characters in the story. Okay, but when you describe only one person's feelings and thoughts, but you still have many other characters in that story. In that story, you do not mention anyone else's feelings and thoughts, you just point out their actions. It still is limited perspective because you are describing only what one person feels and thinks. So that's limiting. Omniscient will become when you are describing everyone's thoughts and feelings. Okay?
Okay, now I
Right.
totally understand.
Okay, that's a good girl. Let's try and let me see. I may have a little bit more. Just a moment. Moving on there. Yeah. Okay, so just give me a minute, please. Let me clear this drawing up. There. On the line below, change the following sentence to first person point of view. Clayton climbed into the small sailboat and sailed to the imaginary starting line.
Clayton, is Clayton?
Clayton,
Clayton climbed into the small sailboat and sailed to the imaginary starting line. The change reference into the first person is I climbed into the small sailboat and sailed to the imaginary starting line.
that's very right. You got it. Good job. Now, the last one for today. I have another class. I'm a little bit late already. So let's do this. You have to read this passage and you have to identify the point of view in this passage. These are your choices down here. First person, second person, third person limited, or third person omniscient. So read this passage first, please.
Okay, the scarecrow found a tree full of nuts and filled Doris' basket with them, so that she would not be hungry for a long time. She thought this was very kind and thoughtful of the scarecrow, but she laughed heartily at the awkward way in which the poor creatures picked up nuts. His padded head
Picked up the nuts.
picked up the nuts. Picked up the nuts. Is this correct?
Yes, absolutely right, my dear.
And okay, thank you. And then his padded hands were so clumsy that he dropped almost as many as he put in the basket. But the scarecrow did not mind how long it took him to fill the basket, for it enabled him to keep away from the fire, as he felt a spark might get into his straw and burn him up.
Into his straw and burn him up.
Straw and broken.
Okay, good.
Straw is like it's like a straw, the water from the bottle. Is it like that?
No, straw is dried grass. Grass?
Dry grass.
Yeah, if you dry the grass, it becomes all, light brown color, then it becomes very hard, prickly. That's the straw that we are talking about over here, because it's talking about a scarecrow. Scarecrows are made out of straw, and I'm sure you've read it in books or seen it in the movies where there are big fields and they make this thing that looks like a person out of straws. They make it wear a jacket and a hat, so that crows and other birds do not come and do not come and eat up the seeds in the fields. Okay, so now you have to
from this whole paragraph, there are two. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
There are two persons pronouns. The third person pronoun, so it must be third person, and because this describe not only one character, so it should be the omniscient. So it's person omniscient.
Judy, you are breaking up. I heard till you said that it could be omniscient. Did you say anything else after that?
I say this is a third person omniscient.
That's right. Okay, but why do you say that it's third person omniscient and why not limited?
Because the firstly, I saw the third person's pronouns, which are he and she, and then because you told me how to compare with the limited and omniscient. Limited is only could describe the one character, but the omniscient is describe every characters. It's like two or more characters, so I choose omniscient.
Okay, it's the feelings that we are talking about. In limited writing, we may have many characters, but it's only one person's feelings that are described and thoughts that are described. In omniscient also, we may have many characters, but it's everyone's thoughts and feelings that are described. So over here in this passage, when we look at these lines, that she thought it was very kind. So this is one character's thoughts that have been described. And then again, towards the end, if we read, he feared a spark might get into his straw and burn him up. this is another person's thoughts and feelings that we are talking about, right? So there are two characters here, and both of their thoughts and feelings are being described. That's why you're absolutely right. It's third person omniscient.
So my thinking process is a lack of thinking about the one person's feeling, which is be described in this paragraph. And then I think the feelings which be described in this paragraph is it's scared the fire. The thoughts is very confident. So I'm not sure about what's the main feelings of this on the one person's in this paragraph.
Okay, so hang on. So this is Dorothy, one character, right? And there is the Scarecrow, two characters here, Dorothy and Scarecrow. Okay. Now when we talk about Dorothy, it says over here, excuse me, she thought this was very kind, right? So this is Dorothy's feelings that we see here, right? Similarly, when we say over here, let's take a look at this line. The Scarecrow did not mind. So this is what he thinks. And then he feared a spark. Feared means to be scared. So again, over here you can see these two lines, did not mind and he feared a spark. These two lines are the Scarecrow's feelings and thoughts. So you can see we have two characters here, and we can understand from this line, she thought this was very kind, one character's feelings. From these lines, did not mind, he feared. These two lines tell us the Scarecrow's feelings. So now you can see there are two characters and both their thoughts and feelings are being described in this passage. That's why this is an omniscient. Got it?